Auditor General will go ahead and brief you members of the press. Thereafter, we'll open it for questions and answers. Auditor General, you're welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Deputy Auditor General in charge of audits, the Deputy Auditor General Corporate Service Division, directors are present, members of the press, may I simply say, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to address you, members of the press, and through you, the general public, on whose behalf we conduct our audit work. From the onset, let me appreciate the collaboration we have had, especially in making the public aware about accountability of public resources when the report is out and during the parliamentary committee sittings. This press briefing is held in the spirit of sharing the salient issues on the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the Republic for the financial year 31st December 2020 and the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of parastatal bodies and other statutory institutions for the financial year ended 31st December 2019, which are now ready for issuing. It will also be an opportunity for you to clarify matters in the report as well as other areas of public interest. Ladies and gentlemen, the office exists to audit all public resources in the Republic and give an assurance that there is prudence, transparency, and accountability in the management and utilization of the resources for the benefits of the citizens, which is consistent with the office's vision. According to Article 212 of the Constitution of Zambia, Amendment Act number 1 of 20, Amendment Act number 2 of 2016, it provides that I shall not later than 9 months after the end of the financial year submit an audit report to the President and National Assembly on the accounts of the Republic audited in respect of the preceding financial year. So this exercise we are trying to do is a requirement of the Constitution. Let me say we are communicating to the public through you as per the requirement of the Constitution that every year after the end of that particular year, the following year, 9 months down the line, I should be able to submit the audit reports. Today is 30th September. We are within the constitutional timelines. In view of the foregoing, I'm delighted to inform you that we have successfully met the constitutional requirement. Yesterday, 29th September 2021, we submitted the report and briefed His Excellency. And I wish now to brief you on the key finding of the report. I also need to mention that we have also submitted the report to the Speaker of the National Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the Republic for the financial year ended 31st December 2020 generally reviews evident financial irregularities in ministries, provinces, and agencies, in that the irregularities that have increased outnumber the irregularities that have been reduced during the period under review, thus negating the strides made in the management of public resources. The major findings on the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the Republic for the financial year ended 31st December 2020 are the following. The irregularities where we have seen upward trend include wasteful expenditure, failure to follow procurement procedures, and vouched expenditure, unaccounted for revenue, unaccounted for funds, unretired accountable interest, irregular payments, failure to recover loans, and non-submission of expenditure returns. The largest irregularity amounts in the report is wasteful expenditure, which increased from 3.7 million in 2019 to 1.4 billion in 2020, representing an increase of 378%. This irregularity involves Ministry of Finance, Head 21, 856 million, which is payments in interest and penalties incurred on the contract between Food Reserve Agency and Advanced African Solution. Housing and infrastructure, 362 million in payment of accrued interest and transfer of property tax. Transport and communication, 153 million. General education, 32 million. Fisheries and livestock, 9 million. Water development, sanitation and environment protection, 4 million, among others. The details, you find them in the report. Wasteful expenditure, ladies and gentlemen, is expenditure which government incurs where government does not derive any benefit or obtains goods and services at exorbitant prices or cost. The implication of wasteful expenditure is that deserving sectors of the economy are deprived of the much needed resources. Going forward, the office, through its forensic and investigation unit, will actively follow up such matters to their logical conclusion to understand the motive behind such expenditures. Where it is evident that an offense was committed arising from the wasteful expenditure, the office will engage law enforcement agencies whom we have established memorandum of understanding to take up the matter for further investigation and prosecution. The report, ladies and gentlemen, has also cited the second largest irregularity as failure to follow procurement procedures. The amount involved is 234 million. This irregularity increased from 404,500 in 2019 to 234 million in 2020, representing 463 increment in terms of percentage. The huge jump is of great concern to us as an office, and it is a clear indication of non-compliance to the Zambia Public Procurement Act and disregard of procurement guidelines in the purchase of various goods and services. Further, the third matter of concern, which has seen an upward trend, is unvouched expenditure, which increased from 1.5 million in 2019 to 28 million in 2020. And vouched expenditure is when payment vouchers are not availed for audit because they are either missing or are availed for audit but are inadequately supported. This irregularity is worrying as it may be a means of concealing wrongdoings in ministries, provinces, and agencies. Ministry of Finance accounts for the significant part of this irregularity in amounts totaling to 25 million. The office will further look into this irregularity through its forensic and investigation unit. Also of great concern in the report is failure to recover loans issued through empowerment programs, especially in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Child Development in amounts totaling to 83 million. This irregularity deprives other would-be beneficiaries from accessing the loans as the money would be tied to non-performing beneficiaries, thereby frustrating a well-intended government empowerment program. Ladies and gentlemen, the upward trend shown in the report is attributed to poor supervision, failure to consult the Attorney General when entering into contracts, and poor contract management. On the other hand, the report has also highlighted irregularities that have shown a downward trend, which is commendable. And these are misapplication of funds from 7 million to 531, and accounted for stores from 56 million to 4 million, and delivered materials from 24 million to 4 million. We believe that if MPAs implement the audit recommendations and adhere to financial and procurement regulation, this trajectory, though not entirely satisfactory at the moment, could be seen in other areas too, and we implore controlling officers to take keen interest in reducing their audit queries. I also want to give you the other side of the report on the revenue side. Ladies and gentlemen, on the revenue side, the report has also highlighted tax arrears, which has increased from 48 billion in 2019 to 60 billion in 2020. Tax arrears, ladies and gentlemen, are unpaid or uncollected assessed taxes by ZRA, which are owed to government by various taxpayers. This means, therefore, that various government programs are negatively affected due to non-availability of funds, as the Treasury did not receive the funds from ZRA in form of these taxes. Further loss of revenue as a result of expired custom importation permits of 62 million. Other revenue irregularities include unaccounted for removals in transit in amounts totaling to 25 million and failure to collect tax on assessed imports of 13 million. That concludes the summary of the report on the accounts of central government. I now wish to give you the account on the major finding on the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of parastatal bodies and other statutory institutions for the financial year ended 31st December 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why parastatal bodies and statutory institutions exist is to stimulate industries and economic growth, among others. The finding of the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of parastatal bodies and other statutory instruments for the financial year ended 31st December 2019 generally reviews poor financial performance of parastatal bodies and the statutory institutions. The summary is the following. The report highlights failure to collect funds in amounts totaling to 16.6 billion as the largest irregularity, followed by failure to remit or settle statutory obligation of 1 billion during the period under review. The failure to collect funds, which includes penalties, amounts to 13.1 billion, was due to entities such as National Pension Scheme Authority, Local Authorities Superannuation Fund, Energy Regulation Board, Zambia Postal Services Corporation, failing to collect and remit employee contribution from several employers. The institutions that failed to collect funds involve NAPSA, like I indicated, LASIF. NAPSA is 16.2 billion, LASIF is 205 million, Energy Regulation Board management of energy funds is 92 million, among others. The implication for this irregularity in the case of NAPSA and LASIF is the potential inability to pay workers their dues when they retire from employment. In the case of the energy funds, government is deprived of these funds as they are supposed to go into the treasury and support government operations. The failure to settle or remit statutory obligation involve 6 institutions with the largest amount of 988 million being attributed to Zambia Postal Service Corporation Limited. The obligations are statutory obligation deducted from several employees of various entities. However, the funds are not remitted to Zambia Revenue Authority and National Pension Scheme Authority, among others. The outstanding obligations include penalties to the tune of 742.7 million. The implication of not remitting the funds include increased cost to the entities due to penalties and delays in paying employees' pensions when they retire. The areas that have seen an upward trend from 2018 to 2019 are wasteful expenditure from 246,000 to 47 million, and supported payments from 4 million to 41 million, and retired interest from 337,000 to 578,000. Others are failure to recover loans from 2 million to 129 million, irregular payments from 5 million to 18 million, questionable payments from 1.2 million to 5 million, and failure to follow procurement procedures from 189,000 to 3.2 million. Other key findings, ladies and gentlemen, in this report include the following: weaknesses in corporate governance, failure to produce financial statements, poor financial management and operational performance, poor management of pension funds, poor returns on investment, poor management of loans, failure to recover pension debt, poor management of power purchase agreement and energy funds, poor management of contracts, and failure to adhere to applicable government policies. Some of the parastatal bodies and statutory institutions that have been cited include ZESCO Limited, National Pension Scheme Authority, NAPSA, Development Bank of Zambia, Indeni, and the Energy Regulation Board. I wish to state, before I conclude, that the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the Republic for the financial year ended 31st December 2020, and the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of parastatal bodies and other statutory institutions for the financial year ended 31st December 2019 were produced in accordance with the Constitution of Zambia, Amendment Act number 2 of 2016, and Public Audit Act number 13 of 1994, and the Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 2018. The audits were conducted in accordance with the international standards of Supreme Audit Institution, ISIS, which are the standard relevant for the audit of public sector entities and are issued by the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institution, INTOSAI, to which the Office of the Auditor General is a member. Ladies and gentlemen, the nation may wish to know that during the audit process, the office interacted and communicated with controlling officers so as to provide an opportunity for them to clarify and take corrective actions on the finding of the audit. By so doing, demonstrating the value and the benefit of the Supreme Audit Institution. The report contains the findings that were not resolved during the audit process, and no corrective actions were undertaken as at 31st March of 2021 for the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of parastatal bodies and statutory institutions for the year ended 31st December 2019 and 31st August 2021 for the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the report of the Republic for the year ended 31st December 2020. For further details, I wish to refer you to the 2 published reports, and I also implore you to feel free to engage my office on all audit matters, and these reports will be available shortly on our website, and you can access them. I thank you, and may God bless us all. Thank
you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Auditor General, for a well-articulated brief. At this particular juncture, I'll allow for questions. We'll proceed as follows. We'll take the first set of 3, if any. Then the Auditor General will respond together with his management team. Thereafter, we'll go for another set of 3. Can I see those who would want to ask questions to the Auditor General? Just by way of indication, you indicate your... Do we have any questions? Okay, I've seen one. Priscilla, just tell us your name and where you're coming from.
What is we've seen this report here and people are hearing the whole part, but this report keeps coming in some cases we increase cases, like some of which you have mentioned. Don't you feel frustrated? Is this just an academic exercise? Because some cases are going to court and people are confused. Some don't even know what happened. Then my other question is, when are we likely to get a report on the utilization of funds for the general election?
Any other question? AG, you may wish to respond to the 2 questions.
Okay. Thank you for that question, and thank you for sharing our frustration. We do get frustrated, for sure, because we are a creation of the Constitution. The people of Zambia created the institution, as you are aware, this is the representative democracy. So the people of Zambia created this institution to oversee the utilization of resources. Parliament passes the laws, the executive implements the laws. Our responsibility is to check on what the executive is doing and report back to Parliament and the citizens like we are reporting, so that people are charged with the responsibility of managing these resources are held accountable. We have got institutions that are supposed to take up the responsibility of our findings for further processing. And I can confirm now that we have got a very strong working relationship with the Drug Enforcement Commission and Corruption, the SEC. We have got a very good working relationship with the Financial Intelligence Center. And now we are sharing this information. From this press conference or press briefing, we'll be able to sit with our sister institutions and give them the report and point to the report areas where we think there are potential areas for prosecution. And looking at our sister institutions, I think they're up to the challenge. You start seeing results now, and some of the results have been achieved in the past. And I think, like you have indicated, citizens want to see a lot of results, and working together definitely will have these synergies to show results, and we think going forward will achieve the intended purpose where people who are responsible for management of these, your resources, are held accountable to ensure that your resources are used or utilized to the benefit of you as citizens of this great country. On the issue of the audit for the utilization of election funds, we have started already. We are present at the Electoral Commission. We are present at the Ministry of Home Affairs, those institutions that received the resources, also the districts, the councils. We are going to issue the report first quarter of 2022. That is our plan, because of the magnitude of the work that is involved. I thank you.
Yes, Darius and Mr. Jim, you can ask your question.
Good morning, my name is Darius from WC. My question is maybe not focused on the reports, but the findings that have shared. Another report by the EIA on the exports of Angola. And what we saw was that there were some ministries that were implicated, like the Ministry of Community Development and other ministries, submit too. And we have come to be made aware that PIT did submit their export license to be audited. Just want to find out if you can confirm to us that you have the export license and what are some of the things that you are looking into based on what has been submitted to you.
Jim?
Thank you. In Mandela, my friends, about the wasteful expenditures, there is a sharp increment. What could there be reasons and if the combination that can be come to at least less than 10%? Again, there was sometimes where the public was asking why the Auditor General has not given power to prosecute. How far is that for? Now the public was asking when can they given the power to prosecute
The powers. Okay.
Any other hand? Okay, AG, you may proceed and respond.
On the confirmation of the export licenses being given to us to audit, I can't confirm. I need to check with my deputy in charge of audits. I'm not aware. But what I can confirm is that we are doing audits on extractive industries, and we have also started doing audit on natural resources, and we are going to do a comprehensive audit on the management of Mokola. That I can confirm. But on the others, we can still raise, and I will confirm once I get the information from my deputy. On the waste for expenditure increase, what has been observed is that management of contracts is not being well done, because as you may be aware, in the contracts there are clauses that are provided for when you fail to settle your obligation in time, for the penalties and interest to start kicking in. What we have observed is the failure to honor the contracts on time from government point has resulted in the contractors and other institutions start claiming interest and penalties on delays by government to honor, or failure by government to honor their obligation on or to honor their contractual obligation. If we were to do things the way they are supposed to be done, this could be avoided. So for us, that becomes waste for expenditure, because government ends up paying, for example, a contract of 10 million, because you have delayed to pay 1 million, 1 million kicks in interest and penalties. Those penalties and interest comes to 5 million, the contract of 10 million, we end up paying 15 million, which could have been avoided. And those resources are being gotten from somewhere else. For us, that becomes waste for expenditure. And we are reminding government and also the stakeholders and the managers of these resources to ensure that they pay particular attention to this aspect, so that we avoid paying penalties and interest, which results in getting resources from somewhere else to honor now that obligation. That is the reason. On the power of prosecution, under Article 250 of the Constitution, we are supposed to, and we do, submit the information to institutions that are mandated to carry out activities of prosecution. Our view is that we need to strengthen the value chain, rather than the Office of the Auditor General being given the powers to start prosecuting, because this is where we start creating monsters. We need other institutions to take up the responsibility to ensure that what we provide, the value chain picks from what we provide, and the process continues. So we are of the view that the institutions that are there, which are supposed to prosecute the cases, are enough. What they need is just to capacitate them, and then we'll be able to feed them, like you have indicated, to discuss with them on the finding of the report. Then they can pick the matters there. And we are available from the memorandum of understanding that we have entered into with this institution. We are available to provide expertise issues to assist them to prosecute these matters successfully. So that is our view on that one. I said, thank you.
The last set of questions, if any. I see none. Auditor General, I wish to thank you. I wish also to thank members of the press for gracing us with your presence. Feel free to remain behind and get copies of the briefing notes and also the soft copy reports. This marks the end of our press conference, and I'll allow the Auditor General to leave, as well as the Deputy Auditors General who were also in our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
How many media houses are represented here? In excess of 10? Over 20? Okay, counting 1, 2.
You can